Hello. I'm aware I'm what stands between you and lunch. So, is it just me that's hungry? No, I thought not. So if you hear something rumbling, it's my stomach against this microphone. Apologies up front. Actually, let's just test the mood in the room. Show of hands, please, if you are looking forward to lunch. Lovely, okay. Show of hands, please, if you are looking forward to the chance to check your emails and your voicemails. Not many. That means you're all sat there doing it anyway, aren't you? Okay, final show of hands. Those of you who are looking forward to the lunch break and the opportunity to have difficult, awkward conversations with complete strangers. A few hands went up. I'm glad to see it. Now, it's interesting. The feedback forms after the IGG events always say, I come for the networking. Seriously, that's what you tell us. And yet, so many people hate to network. And I think the problem is that we've got used to this term, networking, is somehow loaded. And you think, what's the difference between networking and having a conversation? Nothing. So what I want to do in the next half hour is give you some tips and some tricks to try to make those conversations easier. I want to make you go out to that lunch break and think, yep, I can talk to some new people. So I'm actually going to give you some conversation openers. We're also going to do some exercises. And I'm aware that several of my colleagues have already got you speaking to the person beside you, the person behind you. So I'm going to ask you in a few minutes to find somebody you haven't spoken to yet. Now, that might mean you need to get up and move. Feel free to shuffle along your row, find another row, climb over the seats, quite frankly, if you so wish. But you will need to find a few people during this session that you haven't yet spoken to. If you do move, leave your bags and coats where they are. You can come back and collect them before lunch. But take your phone with you, because you're going to need your phone in a few minutes' time. So if you do find yourself moving to find a partner, go and do that. But let's start with possibly the most obvious networking question. It's the question that you've probably been asked already today. What do you do? Hands up if somebody's already asked you who you are and what you do. Yeah, quite a lot of you. And the trouble is, it's a really innocuous little question. And it sounds really innocent. But actually, that question is quite tricky to answer, because how you answer that question sort of goes to the heart of what you do. Goes to the heart of your job, your organization, your business. So you need to be able to answer that question effectively. So we're going to try it. So I'm about to give you 15 seconds in which you will need to find a partner, somebody you have not spoken to yet. Okay? So I'm also going to introduce you to my friend here. This is the bell. Hang on. You're keen, I'll give you that much. Ready? Hang on. Can I have that up? Okay. Wait a minute. You're keen, I've got to give you that much. So, once you have found a partner, then we'll explain the exercise. So I'm going to give you 15 seconds, find a partner, now! And you should have a partner. Okay. Okay. Is there anybody without a partner? Somebody over there without a partner? Anybody else without a partner? Yes, over here. Gentleman there, if you'd like to go and join the lady over there. Anybody else without a partner? Somebody at the back. We got anybody else without a partner? Somebody at the back. Yeah, we've got some lady down here. If you two can connect. There you go, wave at her so she can see who she's coming to. Down here. Lovely. Okay, you are going to have 30 seconds in which to ask the other person and then answer, what do you do? But listen out for the bell, which will tell you when it's 30 seconds, time to swap over, and then the bell will ring again to tell you to stop. So you've got 30 seconds to ask and answer the question, what do you do? Starting now. And swap over. Time's up. Time's up. Okay. Easy, difficult. Give me a show of hands if that was easy. Show of hands if you thought that was difficult. Okay, some people. Right. Now here's the thing. Most people answer that question by basically describing the opening paragraph of their LinkedIn profile. Or they recite their CV at me. Or they tell me how they spend their day. And you know what? I don't care. That doesn't make me hard-hearted. But the problem is, when you answer that question, what do you do? Most people will talk about me, rather than talking about me, the listener. They'll just talk about themselves. Okay, if anybody remembers, there's a great 80s movie called Beaches. Half of you weren't even born in the 80s. That's depressing. There's a Bette Midler movie called Beaches. In that, her character turns to her friend and says, anyway, that's enough talking about me. Let's talk about you. What do you think about me? And that's the trouble. That's what we do. We tend to talk about ourselves. What we should be doing is talking about the person we're talking to. So if somebody asks you that innocuous little question, what do you do? What I want you to do is flip it in your mind and actually answer the question, what could you do for me? It's a subtle difference. What could you do for me? And let's see how your answers differ. So working in the same pair, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Listen for the bell. Your time starts now. Swap over. That's out. Time's up. Time's up. Okay. Time's up. So, did you find... I'm so glad there's conversations going on, but... Right. Did you find... Let's try this again. Okay. If you want to get to lunch, you need to listen out for the bell, people. Okay. Who found their answer differed in that second exercise? Answer different. Okay, let's find out how. Excuse me. I'm going to come down here. Okay, you put your hand up really eagerly. I'm really sorry. So, how did your answer differ the second time in terms of how you could help me?
Well, the first time I just kind of talked about what I do day to day, like you said, and the second time I was thinking more about how it relates to what she does. And at first I couldn't really think of a connection, but with a bit of thinking, it kind of got there. Yeah.
So you actually started thinking about the person you're talking to rather than just about yourself. Absolutely. Anybody else? Who else found their answers differed? Anybody else? All of a sudden, lots of people are really looking into their laps. They're completely avoiding my eye line. Anybody else? Over here. Thank you, Adam. So how did your answer differ?
We just started being really honest about what we could learn from each other and being open about the fact that everybody wants to, get something from the relationship and what that would look like.
Yeah, absolutely. We all want to get something from the relationship. Thank you. That's a really good way of putting it. And that's the thing. You are building a relationship when you do this. It's the start of a relationship. So it's not an opportunity to talk about yourself. Sorry, I'm just heading back towards the stairs because that stage is actually higher than I thought it was. I'm going there. That's better. So you need to start thinking about how you answer that question. If somebody says, by all means, if you're stood up, you want to take a seat for a moment, by all means do. When somebody asks you that question, what do? Think about reframing it as, what could you do for me? Just out of interest, how many of you found you sort of had the urge to start asking more questions, to find out more about the person you're talking to? Yeah, a number of people. And actually, questions are good. Now, of course, normally you wouldn't be speaking against the clock. Hopefully this would be a more normal conversation, not a timed exercise. So you have the time to ask questions, and questions are good. Ask questions. And there are some really obvious questions that can really open up a conversation like this. Things like, what are your biggest challenges at the moment? And for example, if you work in, let's say, HR, what are your biggest challenges in HR at the moment? And suddenly, that person is telling you about the sort of areas that you might be able to help them with. And that's as true if you're internal within a big organization as it is if you're a small business out networking at events. So think about research. Think about how you can find out more about the person you're talking to. Okay, how many people came here today with a list of people they wanted to meet? A few, only a few. Okay, I have to say, before you go to a big event, look through the delegate list. Identify 3 or 4 people that you would really like to meet, who you think could help you in your job, in your role, in your organization, in your business. But start researching them. Find out as much as you can about them beforehand. And don't just research their job description. It's not just about them as a professional. Research them as a person. This sounds like stalking, I'm aware. But actually, if you can find out a bit about them, you've got a great conversation opener, and you can make a connection far faster. Okay, I'm always hesitate to ask this. Did anybody Google me before today's event? My ego is dented. Okay, the reason I ask that is I can always tell if somebody has Googled me, if they come to talk to me. Because they don't now say, oh, Steve, tell me about being a communication specialist. They always now come up to me and say, Steve, what is it about you and dating scams? Because if you had Googled me, you would know that about 18 months ago, beginning of last year, it became obvious I am the face of an online international dating scam. Not my fault. Somebody has stolen about 25 of my Facebook photos and uses them to set up profiles on dating sites to try to scam rich, elderly women. Now, weirdly, okay, this is a whole other story, but one of the women contacted me to tell me, she tracked me down, and we ended up going public. It was all over the press. We did a lot of newspaper and TV and stuff last year. If you Google me and dating scams, you will find it. And actually, what's been interesting for me is I've now been able to take ownership of it, and I now give talks about online security, how to avoid scammers, how to protect your online resources, all that stuff. Although I'll tell you, the 2 worst things about the whole experience. Number 1, I am married to a man. So rich, elderly women are so not my type. And number 2, the scammers send out my photos to these women and tell them that I'm 68. I'm in my 40s. Anyway, the reason I say that, because that has become a great conversation opener. If people have researched me, that's what they find. So they find out this dating scam. If you want to know the whole gory story, come and talk to me at lunchtime. But actually, that's become a conversation opener for me. And I would really suggest you start to research people beyond just their job title. Now, you won't necessarily find anything quite as juicy as that, or I hope you don't, for their sake. But start researching people. Good way to go, actually, is on LinkedIn. If you go to the bottom of somebody's profile on LinkedIn, you will find there are now sections called accomplishments and interests. And that is where people will often put awards and prizes and things, but also where they have joined groups that are not just pertinent to their job title. I don't know if you know it, but on LinkedIn there are lots of groups not about professional things, i.e. there's a group of people into yoga, there's a group of people into art, there's a group of all sorts of things, yachting, sailing, the whole thing. And actually a good mate of mine who's into martial arts joined, there's a group on LinkedIn for people who are into martial arts, he joined that and noticed that one of the key prospects for him, somebody he had desperately been trying to reach, was in that group too. So he sent him a message. Didn't say, I'd like to sell to you. He just said, I see you're into martial arts. Which discipline are you into? What belt are you? Dan, are you? I don't know. Do I look like I'm into martial arts? And actually, the guy came back and they had a conversation about martial arts, which then allowed a conversation about the business they wanted to have. Because they found a connection, they found something they had in common. So we are about to do exactly that. I'm going to give you another 15 seconds, and listen for the bell for when that 15 seconds is up, people. Okay, so I'm going to find 15 seconds to find a new partner, and then I'll explain what we're doing. Your 15 seconds starts now. Okay. Right. Everybody got a partner? Okay. Anybody without a partner? Anybody without a partner? Somebody over here? Oh, in fact, yep, they've got a couple people there, 2 people there, or you've already spoken, I take it. Anybody else without a partner? There's somebody over here. There you go. You found somebody. Okay. Right, here is your exercise. Your job in the next 2 minutes, when I've said go, your job is to have a conversation. You're not taking turns here, it's just have a conversation. And I want you to find as many things as possible that you have in common with this other person, with 3 caveats. It must not be related to your job or your professional life. The fact you are married or single is not a commonality. And the fact that you have kids is not a commonality. But if you both have daughters called Charlotte, for example, that is a commonality. So as you talk, start counting how many things you have in common. Your 2 minutes starts now. Time's up. Right. Show of hands if you had at least 1 thing in common. 2 things? 3 things? 4 things? 5? 8? Any couples? Okay, got a couple there with 8, 9, 10. Any advance on 10, 11, 12? Okay. This couple, I'm coming over to meet you guys. Hang on. We're coming this way. So, okay. I'm hoping the cameraman's following. I have to ask, how many things did you have in common?
Somewhere between 12 and 18, yeah.
Somewhere between 12 and 18 things they had in common. Okay. I'm going to ask them now to list as many as they can remember. Don't worry, you don't have to remember the whole lot. If they say something that these 2 have in common, that you would also have in common with them, just shout, me too. Okay, let's see who else has things in common. So, give me some examples of the things you guys had in common.
Yoga, swimming, playing pool, playing darts, beer, wine. Yeah.
I've got one they won't have. Overcooked baked beans.
Yep.
Overcooked baked beans. Anybody else on overcooked baked beans? Yep, they're with you. Okay, any more?
We've been to Switzerland.
Yeah, I'm out.
Skiing.
Skiing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So straight away we know that not only do these two people have lots of things in common, but quite a number of you have things in common with them too. And actually, those commonalities are often where the best conversations start. Finding things you have in common that have nothing to do with your job can often be the best way to do it. And actually, it's something a trap we often fall into when we are out networking, is all we talk about is business, or our jobs, or our roles, or our organizations. Find the things you have in common as people. It's so much more fun. It really is. The other thing I just wanted to show you, if you've got it in your hand, get your phone out, because we are going to, hopefully, go live. Let's try this. I'm just looking towards the AV desk, see if we can get this up. If you have got your, if you've got your phone, and I'm just waiting, here we go, right. Let's just bring it up. Okay. I'd like you to open the LinkedIn app. Okay. You're professionals, people. You should have the LinkedIn app on your phone. What I want to show you, though, is a couple of features on the LinkedIn app that you might not know that will be very useful today and going forward. So we're going to look at the second icon on the bottom row. You see the two people? Mine's currently got a couple of, it's got a notification. So I'm going to click on the two people, the second icon from the left on the bottom row, and that will bring up my connections, people who've sent me invites. I'm then going to go to the button on the bottom right-hand corner. See the blue circular button? And it's in exactly the same place on Android as it is on iPhone. I'm going to click on that, and that brings up a little menu. Everybody following along so far? You're still connecting to the Wi-Fi, aren't you? Okay, so you're going to the two little people on the bottom row, and then you're going to go to the blue button. And then they're going to start, if you click on the middle one, which is scan QR code. And that brings up a scanner. There you all are. Okay, but I'm going to go, if you look at the top, one of the options it says is my code. And I've just realized I don't need the handheld mic. Hold on. Put that down. That's better. So that brings up a QR code. And that is personal to you and your LinkedIn profile. One of the interesting things is if you look at the bottom, it says share my code or save to photos. So you can actually save this as an image. And then you can put it on the back of your business card, you can put it on a headed note paper, you can put it on your website, anywhere where people might want to connect with you. Because if you scan it, what it does, if you go back to scanner, has anybody in the front row got this up? Can you show me? Tell you what, Ian, can you just come up here? Can we just show how this works? So this is Ian, so I'm going to scan Ian's code, and it takes me straight to his LinkedIn profile. So I can now connect. Are you happy to connect?
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. So I've now connected with Ian. So if you meet somebody today and you want to connect with them, get it out, get your QR code up and scan it. Yeah, make sense? But I'm going to click out of that, clicking at the little cross at the top left. And hopefully, here we go, back off Ian's profile. Here we go. So I'm going to go back to that page. So this is where the two little figures. Press the round button again. And this time I'm going to go to Find Nearby, that bottom option. Now, if you have Bluetooth on, this should, hopefully, might take a minute because there's a lot of us on the Wi-Fi. Here we go. This is bringing up all those of you in the room who are looking at this page at the same time. So if you want to start connecting with your colleagues, your peers, other people who you know are interested in the topics we're discussing today, there's a great way to do it. Now, I will put a caveat on that. If you send an invite via this, it just goes straight to them. You can't add an extra note. And I would say this is not just an opportunity for you to connect with everybody randomly. GDPR and all that. But it can be a very useful way to find people who are connected to you. So those are all the people, hello, all these people. Hopefully some of you are seeing yourselves in there. And that's because you're all looking at the same page, so it's telling us that we're all in the same room. So I could actually go through and connect. So where's Emily Mathers? Where's Emily? Over there. Emily, do you mind if we connect? Thank you very much. So I'm just going to connect with Emily, and that has just sent her an invite. Thanks, Emily. So there you go. That's a couple of tools on LinkedIn that I think you might find useful. Don't forget, you can also connect with people via the conference app. There's a QR code in there where you can connect as well. So there you go. That's LinkedIn. Right. Okay. Phones away. Phones away. We'll be going to lunch in about 8 minutes, so don't worry. Put them away. Is that, just actually out of interest, who already knew about that functionality? Does anybody know about that functionality already? No, it's a hidden secret, little hidden gem in there. Okay. Put your phones down. The phone part of this session has ended. Right. We are going to do one final exercise. So I'm going to give you another 15 seconds to find somebody you haven't worked with, and that time starts now. Within your couple, could you please designate person A and person B? Okay? A's, raise your hands. A's. For the purposes of this exercise, you are cavemen, or cave women. Cave people, if you like. So, all my cave people, let me say, ugh. That's not part of the exercise, I just wanted to hear you do it. Persons B. You're actually the ones who've got to work harder in this one. Sorry. Persons B. Your job, in the 30 seconds I'm about to give you, is to persuade that cave person, stood or sat opposite you, that they should stop employing their limited intellect and rudimentary tools to invent the wheel, and instead should deploy them to invent the microwave oven. So you have got to persuade that cave person that what will change their life is a microwave oven. Your time starts now. So, cave people, are you persuaded? That was there was some fairly strong opinions here. Okay, are there any cave people who were persuaded that the microwave oven was going to change their lives? Few people. Okay, I'm going to come down and say hello to you. Hello, we're going to come this way this time. So, over here. Can I squeeze through there? Oh, sorry, mind your laptop, won't step on that. Hello.
Hello.
So why were you persuaded that what you needed in your life was a microwave oven?
Because she made some very logical arguments about how rain and stuff made my open fire rubbish, and I needed food. So.
Okay, great. So so rain will dampen the fire. That's a good argument. I haven't heard that one before. Well done.
And the food gets all wet.
And the food gets wet as well. Okay. Anybody else? Who else managed to persuade their cave person? Or what did you use to try to persuade your cave person? I've got a hand waving at me at the back. Okay, let's get up there. Going up. So I'm going to get fit at this rate. Hang on, coming through. Excuse me. Who was that person waving at me? It was you. Okay, so cave person persuader. Cave person. How did she persuade you?
Basically, that the food would feed my brain, so then I'd be able to develop the wheel faster in the first place.
Oh, get you. That's really, I haven't heard that. You're a bright audience. Normally people go, speed, safety. What's interesting about this? He says, making his way back to the stage as fast as he can. Hey. So, take a seat. What you end up doing to bring that person round to your way of thinking, obviously is persuasion, but what you end up doing is talking about the benefits that microwave oven will bring. It's not about the features. I suspect most of you didn't spend much time saying it's a metal box, it's got a glass door, it's got a knob, and admittedly, we have just ignored the whole matter of electricity, but we'll let that one pass. But actually what you end up doing is talking about the benefits that microwave will bring. It will bring speed, it will bring dry food. That's such a good one, I'm really impressed. It will bring warmth, it will bring all those conveniences, actually, to that cave person. And it goes back to what we said earlier about what can you do for me? So many of us will talk about the features of what we do. We'll just list the services we provide. Actually, what you should be doing is talking about the benefits you bring when you're networking. And a great way to start that is to say, my clients tell me, ... or my colleagues tell me, ... that I can do this for them. The benefits they have seen include ... So focus on the benefits you bring. And if you're not sure what benefits you bring, ask your clients or your colleagues what benefits they've had from working with you. And be prepared for some interesting answers, because they may well find there are benefits that you haven't considered you bring. And the sort of language that they use is the sort of language you can start using, because if it resonates with your existing clients, customers, colleagues, it will resonate with new ones and prospective ones. So think about the benefits that you bring and bring that into your conversation. So don't just talk about me. By talking about the benefits, you're talking about them. And that's an important one. Right, we need to wrap up because we're about to go to lunch. So I just wanted to reiterate, really, this is about communication. This is about conversations. This is about building a relationship. And a relationship means that this conversation has to continue. So when you're chatting to somebody at lunchtime, look for things that you can take forward. What are your goals? You've heard from several of my fellow speakers already this morning that you should be thinking about what goals you've got for the future. Talk about those with somebody you're chatting to. Could you become accountability buddies? Touch base tomorrow, just to think, what was our biggest takeaways from the conference yesterday? Touch base in 7 days' time. How have you got on with those things you were going to do? Touch base in a month's time. Maybe even say, let's touch base every month. Have a conversation, see how we're getting on with our goals. And it's a great way to start building a relationship. So think about how you can take that conversation forward. I'd also say, think about how you can be generous. Is there something you can do to help this person? How can you make their life better? If you've mentioned a book you've read, send them a copy. I will quite often go onto Amazon and send people a copy of a book that I've mentioned that I think they might find useful. Send them a link, send them an article. Find ways to take this relationship forward. And I'm actually going to set you some challenges for lunchtime, and if you have the app on your phone, you are going to get reminders about these, and I've written these down to make sure I get these right. So challenge number 1, during lunch, is to meet someone new. Hopefully during the last half hour, you've already met 3 or 4 people that you hadn't spoken to already. But in lunch, talk to the person standing behind you in the queue, in front of you. Go and sit or stand next to somebody you don't already know. So that's challenge number 1, meet someone new. Challenge number 2, if you're here with colleagues, ask them who they've met. And what did they find out about that person? Hold them to account. Because actually, that's how you can grow your network. Number 3, agree a follow-up. So you've met somebody new. What are you going to do? Who's going to send a LinkedIn request? Who's going to send the first email tomorrow? Who's going to do the follow-up? Who's going to arrange a call, get a call in the diary? Could you meet for coffee? So I want you to agree a follow-up. And I think the 4th one is enjoy it. It's a conversation, people. It's not rocket science. This is the trouble. We get so hung up on networking. Be human. Talk to people. Banter. Have a laugh even. Because actually that's how you're going to have conversations, make connections, and start great relationships. Thank you very much.